Have you ever experienced a moment where you finally arrived at a place of peace and quiet? And in that moment, nothing is demanding your attention and nobody needs anything from you. You realize there isn't any sort of emergency, there aren't any deadlines attached, there isn't anything particularly wrong, and yet you still can't find a way to settle from within. For some people, this happens during a brief pause in the middle of an otherwise stressful or demanding life. Maybe you finally have a quiet evening, a day off, or a few hours when no one is asking anything of you, but your mind continues looking for the next thing that needs your attention. And for other people, the calm lasts longer. They may have spent years working through some issues from the past, resolving challenges, setting boundaries, changing their circumstances, or creating a more peaceful life. And then, once they finally reach that place, they realize they don't quite know what to do with themselves. Maybe you pick up your phone. Maybe you start thinking about work. Maybe you look around for something to clean, organize, fix, or worry about. Or maybe your mind quietly starts asking, what am I forgetting? Is something about to happen? Why does this feel so strange? We usually think that once life becomes calmer, we'll automatically feel calmer too. But peace can create an unfamiliar kind of open space, especially when the mind has become accustomed to responsibility, urgency, problem solving, or always staying alert. As a hypnotherapist, one of the things I always pay attention to is what people consciously want, along with how their mind automatically responds before they've had time to think it through. Someone may genuinely want more peace in their life and may have worked very hard to create it, while another part of their mind is still more familiar with having something to manage, prepare for, or overcome. And that's what I'd like to explore today. Hi, I'm Jasmin Braithwaite, a certified hypnotherapist. Today, I want to talk about why calm can sometimes feel uncomfortable and how hypnosis can help someone become more comfortable with peace and stillness. If you've ever wondered why you finally reached a calmer chapter of life and still couldn't fully relax, you're not alone. Some people experience peace in short bursts, while the rest of their life remains busy or demanding. Others reach a genuinely calmer stage after years of personal work or difficult circumstances. In either situation, the mind may take time to adjust. One of the ways the subconscious mind learns is through repetition. The more often we think a certain way, respond a certain way, or experience the same emotional state, the more familiar it becomes, and the more of a habit it becomes. Over time, those repeated experiences become our baseline, our automatic way of operating. If we spent years responding to life with urgency, staying alert, solving problems, or preparing for what might happen next, that way of functioning can begin to feel normal. Sometimes those qualities have been useful. They may have helped us manage a demanding job, care for other people, navigate uncertainty, or get us through a difficult season of life. A response that was once useful in one season can continue to operate after the circumstances have changed. We may still find ourselves looking for the next responsibility, even when there isn't one. We may still carry tension, even when the environment is calm. Our attention may continue moving towards what could go wrong, what needs to be handled, or what might be missing. This is where hypervigilance can sometimes become part of the conversation. Hypervigilance generally refers to heightened state of awareness and alertness, where someone is frequently scanning for possible problems, changes, or signs that something may be wrong. Over time, we can become so used to staying alert and prepared that it becomes automatic. One of the things hypnosis can help us do is become more aware of the baseline we've been operating from. Once we recognize those automatic thoughts, expectations, and responses, we have an opportunity to begin reinforcing something different. Instead of continually reinforcing a baseline of stress or vigilance, we can begin reinforcing a baseline of calm, and present day safety. So what might discomfort with calm actually look like in everyday life? You may finally have time to rest and feel guilty because you aren't doing something productive. You may sit down and enjoy a quiet evening, but find yourself checking messages, thinking about work, or reviewing everything that still needs to be done. Sometimes you may even create a new task because having nothing urgent to do or manage feels unfamiliar. This can also show up in relationships as well. If you've become accustomed to uncertainty or emotional intensity, a calm and steady relationship may initially feel strange. You may wonder whether something is missing, simply because you aren't experiencing the same emotional highs and lows you've known before. Some people also function extremely well during a crisis. When something goes wrong, they become focused, organized, and capable. Once everything settles down, they may feel restless or unsure of where to place all of that energy. These reactions can be easy to misread. You may assume you're bored, unmotivated, or simply someone who doesn't know how to relax. Sometimes, when the deeper issue is that your circumstances have become calmer before your internal responses have had a time to adjust. For some people, something else begins to happen once life becomes calmer. Instead of feeling restless or uncomfortable with the quiet, they finally have enough space to process emotions they weren't able to prioritize before. When you're dealing with an immediate threat, ongoing conflict, or a situation that keeps you in fight or flight mode, your attention usually focuses on getting through what is happening right in front of you in that moment. There may be other losses, damaged relationships, disappointments, or complicated emotions developing at the same time. But you may not have the capacity to fully understand them while their larger crisis is still active. Once the immediate pressure begins to lift, you may start to see those other experiences more clearly. You may recognize how certain relationships were affected, how much time or energy was lost, or how much emotional weight you were carrying without fully realizing it. Sometimes that's when grief begins to surface. It may be grief you didn't have the capacity to experience while you were trying to get through that situation. It can also be grief over the situation itself, the relationships that were affected, the time that was lost, or the realization that the outcome wasn't as complete or as peaceful as you once hoped it would be. Even when the immediate threat is gone, there may still be things to mourn. That can be confusing because people sometimes expect peace to feel like relief and happiness right away. Once the mind no longer has to stay focused on survival, it may finally have enough space to acknowledge what the experience cost. From the perspective of hypnosis, this is another reason slowing down can be meaningful. As attention becomes more focused and the mind is no longer occupied with immediate crisis, there can be an opportunity to recognize and understand emotions that were waiting for enough space to be acknowledged. For some people, peace is also the beginning of understanding everything that happened while they were trying to survive. Once we understand that peace can affect people in different ways, the next question becomes, how do we become more comfortable living from it? Part of that process involves giving the mind repeated experiences of calm that don't immediately turn into guilt, worry, planning, or the need to find something else to manage. This can take time. If stress, urgency, or constant responsibility has been part of your baseline for years, one quiet afternoon may not be enough to change the way your mind automatically responds to things. You may need opportunities to experience calm, multiple opportunities, and remain present in it, and recognize that nothing has gone wrong simply because you allowed yourself to settle. One way this can be practiced in hypnosis is through guided imagery. Guided imagery is when you're invited to imagine an experience in a focused and detailed way. You might imagine yourself sitting near the water, walking through a peaceful garden, resting in a quiet room, or being in a setting that feels calm and emotionally safe to you, even if that's at home. As you imagine that experience, you can begin to notice how your mind responds. Maybe you're able to remain present and enjoy it. Or maybe your mind starts thinking about work, responsibilities, unfinished conversations, or what you should be doing instead. That doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It gives you information about how your mind currently responds when things become quiet. Through repetition, suggestion, and mental rehearsal, hypnosis can help you practice remaining in the calmer experience for a little longer and a little bit longer, more and more each time you experience hypnosis. You can begin reinforcing the idea that it's safe to slow down and still remain responsible, engaged, and connected to what matters in this moment. Nothing requires your immediate attention in those moments. Over time, those repeated experiences can help calm feel more natural. The mind begins learning that peace is something that can be experienced without immediately interrupting it, questioning it, preparing for it to disappear, or anything like that. The encouraging part is that our baseline isn't permanent. The same subconscious mind that learned to function through stress, urgency, or vigilance can also become more familiar with peace. That change usually happens through repeated experiences. Each time you allow yourself to rest without immediately searching for something to fix, you give your mind another experience of calm. Each time you notice yourself expecting a problem and returning your attention to the present moment, you reinforce a different response. And over time, those moments begin to add up to different habits. Hypnosis can support that process by helping the mind rehearse calm and respond differently while nothing urgent is happening. You can remain responsible and prepared for the moments that genuinely require action without living as though every moment is an emergency. Gradually, peace stops feeling like something you're only visiting for a few moments. It begins to feel more like home. If you found value in today's conversation, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. I share weekly content on hypnosis, personal growth, and practical ways to make meaningful change. Thanks for spending this time with me, and I'll see you in the next video.